Good morning. It is Wednesday at 7:41. I am currently parked in the parking lot of the Mercy Hospital, where we will be having our genetic counseling appointment here in just a few minutes. I am super excited and slightly nervous, hopeful that we will get some better news than we've been getting recently. So I will be back in just a minute to give you guys an update. All right, so I'm a little bit behind on making my genetic counseling video recap. So, today is Saturday. We had our appointment on Wednesday, and here is what she said. Basically, they break down the statistics for you on how your genetic disorder causes other issues, or what your risk is for natural pregnancy, miscarriage, and whatnot. So for us, our pregnancy potential, which means the likelihood that we could get pregnant and carry a baby to full term, is 60%. Our risk of miscarriage is 40. And while those numbers sound very high, much higher than I expected actually, there's a pretty big but with that. So we have a 7.5% chance of severe mental or physical abnormalities or dysfunctions for a baby that could make it to a live birth. So in addition to that 60%, we have the 7.5 on top of it. So I asked her what she meant by severe physical or mental deformities or abnormalities, and she said Down syndrome times 5. So my first thought was, then I need to go back on birth control, because I don't want to run the risk of getting pregnant and having a child that has severe difficulties, not because I wouldn't want to take care of them, but because my fear would be, what happens to them when we die? Who takes care of them then? So while I could handle taking care of a child that needed special needs, I'd be afraid of what would happen when something happened to my husband or I. So we talked it through, and we don't really like those odds. While it might seem kind of low to most people, 7.5% is still pretty high when you only have a 60% chance of being able to carry the baby to term anyway, and it resulting in a live birth. So that means that I'd have a 40% chance of miscarriage every time I got pregnant. And I really, after 2, don't want to go through anymore. That was the majority of the appointment. Couple things that were a little troublesome is that my brother may have this. Some of my other family may have this. We think it's from my mom's side, but we're not sure. There's no real way to test it back, but because of some of the issues my mom's family's had with having kids and things like that, we think it goes on to their side. So my brother will have to get tested for this before he decides to have kids. And then some of my cousins, if they decide they want to have kids, will also need to be tested just to make sure they don't have it as well. I also run a higher risk, of course, of passing this down to my child. When they do the CGH or PGD, whatever kind of testing they'll do for IVF, all they're looking for the most part, is to make sure all the chromosomes are balanced. And balance just means that they work even though they're translocated. So, like for me, I'm alive, well, and healthy, and it works. So for another baby, it would work too. They're just making sure it's genetically correct, and they can't see, in most cases, if it's balanced or not, because they're not looking for that. So I very well could pass this on to another child, and then they would have the same issues that I'm having when they decided to have kids, if they decided to have kids. So that's a little heartbreaking too, because I would really hate to have a child that would have to go through that, because I know how frustrating that would be, not to mention expensive. So yeah. That was the most of the genetic counseling appointment. It solidified that IVF is the way we need to go, and it solidified that we absolutely have to have the genetic testing. So I've already reached out to my doctor and asked them to put me back on birth control, and we will do that until we decide to do the IVF. I'm really hoping I can get in on like the February cycle, since now it's just the day after Christmas, December 26th. That would be perfect timing for me. And in the meantime, I'm going to work on getting a little healthier, dropping some weight, cutting my caffeine, giving up wine. stuff like that, to make sure that when I go in for IVF, I'm as healthy as I can be for that. I also wanted to take a moment in this video, since I probably won't be making one again this week with it being all the holidays and stuff, to address something that everyone's been asking me. Adoption. Are we considering adoption? At this time, we are not considering adoption. I know most people are recommending adoption with the sincerest of intentions, but it's not the same as one. So yeah, it's just not the same as having your own child. I will do a separate video next week talking about how we feel about adoption. Hopefully an update from our next appointment, which will hopefully be soon, so we can get on the path to IVF. And I will talk more through our thought process on adoption versus where we're going medically, and give you more of an update then. So thanks for watching. I'm very grateful for my few but mighty loyal YouTube followers. Please feel free to share my videos, share my channel, and make sure to subscribe if you haven't already, so I can keep you up to date and I can share in your journeys as well. So thanks for watching. Night.